Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2, and today I'm going to be giving you part 12 of What If Naruto Had the Rarest Bloodline. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, stay in tune for the new episodes coming over on Anime King and Anime King 3. Yes, if you're new, you heard that correctly. I have 3 channels, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So stay in tune for those, and I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you're hearing my voice, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off, Kushina and Kisame was on a mission, as they were to bring back a family back to darkness who had been out when the war broke out, and now they need help to get back home. And that is exactly what they were doing. They knew that they were being watched. So, Kushina performed the transport seal, as the group that was watching them paid close attention. What they didn't know was that this was all a trick. Continuing on with their way, they end up getting stopped by Minato. Yes, Minato Namikaze, as the man has come quite far since his younger days. As he told Kushina it's time to come back home, as she belonged to Konoha after all. She simply scoffed. Fukaku, Mikoto, and Hayashi was there as well. It then showed the real, as it broke away the illusion the family was gone. Onion and Carrot stood there with the Anbu mask on. The trick was simple and yet complicated. Carrot, she wasn't that advanced in Funjutsu, but close enough as she was able to create the seal on her end. So when Kushina performed the transport seal, the family was sent away to the root base where Umura had caught them. Umura, who was the clan head of the Kurama clan, her daughter was the one that had mania inside of her. The root base had become their Oman base of operation in the past few years. Danzo was currently in a coma as Umura was handing over bodies to Orochimaru. The man was paying her for them, of course. Danzo had went up against Minato, as he wanted to take care of him, to take him out. Well, it was still Naruto's smoke clone, but he didn't have the necessary power to take Minato out. And seeing that he was under illusion, Minato had beat the man severely, to the brink of death where he passed out when he arrived back in the root base. He then fell into a coma as Orochimaru has been looking after him ever since. He didn't even know that that was a clone by Naruto, a smoke clone. As Naruto told Umura to take all the money, the finances that they got, and use it for her and the clan. All of them had basically moved out and come down here as they established themselves as a new root. Any information that was regarding darkness, they would pass it on to Naruto and sabotage anything that might harm darkness. So with that out of the way, the battle started as Kisame took on Fukaku, as Onion took on Hayashi, and Carrot took on Mikoto, as Minato was about to face off against Kushina when Naruto arrived, as he told her that he will handle this one. Despite her protest, he simply ruffled her hair, making her angry a bit. As he stepped forward, Minato was livid as he finally got to confront the man. As Naruto told him that he wasn't his father, Minato attacked, but even with his higher shin and his advanced speed, he was not a match for Naruto. As Naruto knocked him around so easily, it was like he was slapping around a child. Minato was shocked by the sheer power and the speed the ghost had. He thought over time his power had diminished, but he was far from it. Minato didn't stand a chance. As Naruto told him that he was not his father. It became clear to Minato when he remembered Sakumo talking to Jiraiya. He was young back then, so his mind just placed it off as someone else. Sakumo had told Jiraiya that, well, it was his fault. It turns out that Minato was Sakumo's child. Sakumo, in the time of war, he had forced himself on a girl from the Kamuri clan at Darkness, the same clan that Naruto was from, and she was probably related to him in somehow. Given the resemblance between him and Minato, that meant Naruto wasn't his father. Sakumo was, and Jiraiya knew this, as Naruto broke all of Minato's beliefs, literally tearing down his foundation right there and then. The boy felt broken, his two arms limply at his side after Naruto had purposely taken them out of the fight for now, as he could barely stand, he could barely move, while not even a scratch was on Naruto. As he couldn't believe it, all these years planning, waiting for this perfect opportunity, and he was nothing but a bothersome. As Naruto told him that he would spare his life, but if he tries something again, he will not. As he promised that he will kill Naruto, but his mind was still not fully grasping what exactly that meant, realizing that Jiraiya had lied to him, and those people had hated him because he looked like Naruto, when Sakumo was his real father. As Mikoto came back along the others, as she asked him if he was okay, but his eyes seemed hollowed as Naruto and the group left. So yeah guys, so basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the place and check out for yourself. So we need to begin this new episode. Hey, Uncle Naruto, why didn't you kill him? He said that he was gonna kill you, said Kushina. Fear the man belief that has been put in doubt. The place that he once known as home is now a prison. The people that he once learned from and befriended turned out to be slave masters. That is from a book that Jiraiya the Sannin wrote. As Naruto shook his head at Jiraiya's hypocrisy. Nice book though, very interesting. I highly recommend it. Kushina blinked. What the hell does that even mean? Naruto flicked her on the forehead. Language, she yelled as she rubbed the tiny red spot on her head. The rest of the Jonin team wondered what evil scheme their lord was planning. Torun didn't want me to destroy the leaf, but allowing it to fall on its own. I just gave it a push, he said. Oh, Kisame. As black tentacles came from Naruto's arm and grabbed Kisame and pulled him close. As they vanished, as Naruto placed the arm over Kisame's shoulder, Sami had to vibrate on Kisame's back. Whether or not to take a taste of Naruto dark, devilish chakra and suffer the consequences later, he decided not to. When we get back home, we're gonna have a long discussion about comrade safety, jeopardizing mission, and proper authorization. Kisame swallowed thickly as he felt his blood running cold at the gleam in Naruto's eye. Time skip. Sometime later, Hokage's office. Fukaku pointed at the blonde beside him as he yelled. It is because of his incapable leadership that we all got our asses handed to us by those dark scum. If he had conducted himself professionally, we would have swept the four of them away, got the Kyuubi, and we would have been back in record time. Enough, Hiruzen said, but Fukaku wasn't finished. This insolent piece of animal waste was busy flirting with the Kyuubi instead of making proper plans to finish our mission. The ghost was even there, and Minato was manhandled like a child by him. So much for being a once-in-a-lifetime prodigy. No jutsu, no seals, only hand to hand, and he had the Hiroshin, and yet he was broken with little effort from the ghost. It would have been better if someone as tasteless as Hayashi was named team leader. If you had made me team leader, this disgrace wouldn't come on the face of Konoha and disgrace our reputation. As he looked towards Minato fully, this man has brought shame to us and the leaf, and I demand that he be stripped of his headband and thrown into prison for his impotence. Hiruzen slammed his palm on the table. I said enough, he shouted. Fukaku lowered his head at that. The rest of the team that was in bandages were also there as well. As they didn't say anything, they did not come to Minato's defense. They all just stayed quiet. Minato, Hiruzen says, he took a deep breath. He took a puff from his pipe afterwards and released the smoke in the air. What do you have to say for yourself? Capture the Kyuubi and get information on the ancient seal. Those were their missions. The four of them were supposed to be the best of the best. The others that they sent with them was just to be a distraction, to distract the group that Kisame and Kushina had. While they were to carry out the mission, they anticipated the ghost arriving. It was Minato's job to seal away his chakra, render him useless, so that they could end him, but they failed. Minato said nothing as Hiruzen beat on his pipe. "Speak, boy!" "I lost my temper when I saw the ghosts. It is unbecoming of a Konoha ninja. I offer my headband as punishment," as he took off his headband. As he handed to Hiruzen, his arm outstretched. "Minato!" Mikoto gasped. Wasn't being a ninja the thing that he dreamt of? He had constantly yelled it out loud at each passing moment. How could he abandon his whole life ambition so easily? The two other men, including Fukaku, were even surprised. Fukaku might have hated Minato guts, but he didn't actually want him to quit. Hiruzen looked at the boy in front of him as he waved his hand. "There's no need to go that far, boy. Your involvement in the war builds morale in my ninjas for some reason. Keep your head, man, but there will be consequences for your failure. I take full responsibility for the team. As team leader, I didn't set a good example," said Minato. "Please pardon my teammates, Lord Hokage. It's all my fault." Mikoto grabbed his forearm and pulled. "Minato, you don't have to do this. We're still a team," she said. She looked towards Hayashi, who simply closed his eyes. As she looked towards Fukaku, scoffed. She glared at the two of them. "We're a team, Minato," she said. He did not reply. He simply uncurled her arm from his forearm. "What is my punishment, Lord Hokage?" he asked. She shook her head as she could not understand. This Minato was different. He changed. He was uncertain. He was quiet. She didn't like this Minato. What did the ghost do to him? As Sarutobi leaned back in his chair, "You will be demoted to Chunin until you prove your rank again. Then you will go to the front line in Frost Country. You'll be staying there for a year without any pay." "Sir, that is too much. It's unreasonable," said Mikoto. "Quiet, Mikoto. Be glad that your team leader chose to take the fault for all your failures." "Sir, Mikoto," said Minato in a quiet voice, as he turned towards her with a tired smile on his face, as she saw how vague his eyes were. "It's okay," he said. "Dismiss. Minato, come back in an hour for your deployment letter. Leave the village for the Land of Lightning tomorrow, and report to Jicho, Nara. He will know what to do with you." They left. Mikoto wasted no time as she grabbed Minato by the arm, quicker before he could flash away. As she dragged him away, ignoring Fukaku, who asked her out for dinner, as she shoved him into an alley. "Talk," she said. He tilted his head to the side, looking at her. She placed her fist on her hips. "You're acting so weird." "Why?" He rubbed his face. "Just thinking about some stuff." "What stuff? Tell me. I can help. I'll let you know once I figure it out." As he was about to step away, but she stepped in front of him. "Mikoto, I need to go. I have to get my things ready. I am not letting you leave unless you give me a straight answer." He raised the eyebrow. "You do know you can't keep me here, right?" She grabbed him by his flap jacket. "Holding me won't help either," he said. "Why won't you let me help you, Minato?" she asked. His eyes looked over her head, looked at nothing particular. The place was almost deserted because the people were hidden in underground bunkers, as the Inuzaka Ninkans were sniffing around. "It's something I have to figure out for myself," he said. Mikoto sneered as she huffed childishly. "Stupid male pride. I hate it." A flicker of a smile came on his face. She brought him in for a tight hug, bearing her face into his chest. "I'm here if you need me, Minato." He wrapped his arms around her, placing his chin to her forehead. "Yeah, I know," he said. "I'll come see you as many times as possible." "Thank you," he said. She pinched his side. "In case I can't visit, don't forget about me, okay?" "I won't. And no flirting. This time I won't forgive you," she said. "You know I was on a plane, right?" he said. "Then no plane," she said. She gripped his side. "No talking to any other girls." "I don't remember us ever dating, Mikoto," he said. She pushed him away, finally realizing herself, as she tried to keep a calm face. "We're not. I just don't want you to give me any STD when you come back." As he walked past her, as he went to the sidewalk. "I'm serious," she said. Yeah, I hear you," he said. "Want me to help you pack?" "Nah, I'm good," he said. "I'll see you off tomorrow, Minato," she said. He waved over his shoulder as he was gone, in a yellow flash. The first thing Minato did when he appeared in his apartment, as he wrote down everything that he wanted to be answered. 4 pages full. He would not console Jiren until he got the answer for every single thing in the book. One of the questions was the relationship between Konoha and darkness, and if it was justified for Konoha to hate darkness. He knew he wouldn't get any answer from the library books, because in the library it only showed how prosperous and wonderful Konoha was. As he knew this because his Jonin advisor had told him, every single book, not even one, show a bad light about Konoha. In the books, Konoha was this wonderful, prosperous place to live, with so many peace, and just all around a good time. It was a secret only a few ninjas knew, and Minato was entrusted with its knowledge by Orochimaru Sanin, as he had a note to speak with the secretive Sanin. The man was known to be razor-tongued and brutally honest. He wouldn't hold back anything, doesn't matter if it hurt your feelings or not. He wanted a country that was neutral and non-aggressive with darkness. To see the exact history, he would pile up various sources and make a conclusion when he's done. Kumo first came to mind. Hidden Lightning Village was not aggressive with darkness. There was a popular and real story that came in a few months ago that a battalion of 500 or more Kumo shinobis were providing support to their allies in grass. They encounter a small group from darkness, 50 or so, that were on a retrieval mission. And the both of them sidestep each other, and no battle happened even though they were, well, ready to start. But still, they avoided any conflict between them. This kind of situation where Darkness and Kumo would meet, going on different missions would happen, and nothing happened between them. As you remember the words the man said to him, "You're an adult now. Find the answers for yourself." As Naruto words zipped through his mind, he wrote down another question he wanted to be answered. "Haven't you ever wondered?" Naruto words went through his mind once again. "I don't know who your mother was." Another went through his mind. As he gripped his hair, "I am not your father, kid." He clenched his fist tight, as he wanted silence, but his damn words kept on popping in his head. "Look at yourself." Minato swing around, as he calmed himself. "I need a shower." As he stepped in the shower, still fully clothed, the cold water rushing down his body, as he thought how he was gonna murder the ghost if all this paranoia was for nothing. When he was a child, he accepted Jiraiya's words with a second thought, because the Toad Sanin, someone of that magnitude and power, would not lie to a nobody like him. He was nothing special, and the most amazing man picked him out of the gutter and gave him a good life. There wasn't a reason for Jiraiya to lie to him. There shouldn't be a reason. He didn't want to think about what he will do to Konoha if he find out the truth. Konoha, the village that stood at top civilization, the pinnacle of the greatest single place on earth. He always believed whatever Konoha did, for the good or bad, it was always for the prosperous of the village. Konoha could do no wrong, right? Jiraiya hadn't lied to him, right? As he clenched his fist tight in the shower, as he had to calm himself from having a mental breakdown, because if this was truth, what he was gonna do to Konoha, it was gonna be bad. The next day, Frost Country was a technological village, much like Kumo, their neighbors. The country was also where Kumo ninjas hired their engineers to help with their machine and their tech, and store a good fortune there as well. It was a Kumo stronghold. Hitting that country would stun Kumo from funding their war. The problem was, it was named Frost Country, and there was a reason. The temperature was always so low, and it was constantly frozen over. Ninjas who lived there for a long time were adapted to the way, living in the cold. But the ninjas from other villages that had no experience in this find it hard to fight there or go through the terrain. It was difficult. But Frost was still an important part to cripple if they wanted to damage the Land of Lightning. But even after 3 years, the war was not that high in that part. They used guerrilla tactics, bomb, explosives, because the snow was really hindering the Konoha ninjas. Geographically, Frost was difficult to get to, because there was only 2 ways to get in. That was by either sea or through Kumo. The country was rich, very so, and Kumo is allied to it because of their trading and their civilian relationship. Konoha's plan was to remove Kumo and claim control over Chill. Having the influential backing of that would be a great boost for the village. The Nara Jonin commander, just like any other Nara, is black hair slicked back, as he was in his Jonin outfit, eyed Minato as Minato dropped to both hands and knees, his fingertips blue, as he had to track through the snow, through the blizzard to get here. Minato presented the man the scroll as the man took it. Minato rubbed his hands together, trying to get the feeling back into them, as he moved them around quickly. Some other officers were in the tent as well. Minato has never been through such cold in his entire life. It was never so cold in Konoha before. The Rarest scoffed as he read the scroll, as he had a cigarette, as he took a puff of it. So you're the hotshot that got demoted, huh? Minato pushed himself in a straightened position and saluted. Chunin, Namikaze reporting. Jichao smirked as he looked towards the others, as he had a reflective look in their eye. I remember you. You're the ghost boy. Minato clenched his teeth so he would not spill anything out as he calmed himself. Smart, said Jichao. Know when to shut the hell up. That will make you live a bit longer here. The blonde nodded as he sent chakra through his body, trying to warm himself up. Alright, my name is Jichao Nara, and I'm the commander of this advanced unit. He looked down towards the boy. Do you know what the advanced unit is? Yes, sir. Well, an advanced unit is a selective soldiers group. Main purpose is to clear the pathway for the main forces, dismantle traps, set up counter traps for the attacking forces to infiltrate, and build a building of communication tower to report back to the others. Right you are. This is a forgotten port, Ghost Boy. This port was severely underfunded, and they were terribly low on able-bodied ninjas. I have been in Frost for 3 years, and Lord Third has focused 96% of the war away from here. As he threw the scroll at Minato, now, he sent only you after 8 months? One man? Minato, stay silent as Jichao sighed. Do you know what Lord Third said in that scroll? Minato shook his head. He said to put you through hell. Minato controlled his face so he would not show the resentment that he had welled up inside of him. You see, that's physically and mentally impossible, Ghost Boy. And if you had read up about this advanced camp, you will know why. The Forgotten Force was already hell. Shake off the cold, Ghost Boy. We move out in 10, he said. Time skip. At Dark Country, as Kushina grabbed the doorknob, as the seals on the doorknob recognized her fingerprint. As she turned it, it opened a soft click as she peeped inside. I'm home. She flicked on a light and opened the door, allowing her uncle to enter the narrowed hallway. She took off her sandals and placed them next to a arranged, neatly row of sandals and sneakers at the door. As she walked down the hall before coming to a stop. Please, come in, she said, as Naruto slipped off his sandals and stepped further into the house. Your roommate isn't around, he said. Kushina went towards the fridge as she looked at the note that was there. She went shopping. Seems you're low on fish, seasoning, storage scrolls. And she's gonna buy a lawnmower for the backyard. As Naruto glanced around, the living room had the same carpet as the rest of the house. 3 chairs and a couch, a television, and the crank for the temperature regulator of the house was cranked up so in here was a bit warm. As Naruto glanced around, has anything been giving you problems since you two moved here? We've been here for 6 years, uncle. We're fine. I'm just saying, you moved out too early. I was 15, said Kushina, and I was a chonin, basically an adult, she said, as Naruto wiped his finger over the television set. But there was no dust. If it was up to me, you'd be living in the house until you were 60. Kushina laughed to herself, as her uncle was once again scrutinizing her home, being the protective person that he is. I don't think Auntie would like that though, she said, as Naruto grumbled. Suwaki was the one that strong-armed into submitting to make his precious niece move out of the house. And she moved in a roommate in a quiet 3-bedroom flat in the southern district of Darkness Country. Most of the people in this region were from the Panta clan, but the row of flat that Kushina and her friend lived in was occupied mostly by members of the Ink clan, and some Uzumaki, and some clanless. Anything they really needed was close by, market, training ground, anything. The police patrolled the streets. This street had several retired ninjas, and patrols always came through, so there hasn't been any incident. The apartment was keyed into the country electric grid and the water board, so they had water and electricity, just in case the backup generator would go off, and give them power if power outage went out. And also they had a landline, so they could call if they needed anything, just in case. Broken appliances, it would cost to fix them, but living in the house didn't really cost that much, except for the money that came out of their payment from mission, village tax. There was so many people living in darkness, so taxes were really low. Every time they finish a mission completed, the money get wired straight into their account. and monthly taxes were deducted. Other than that, they were living quite comfortably. Naruto didn't want to admit it, but he couldn't have chosen a better place for his niece to live in. Kushina and her roommate, who was Shimura Kuma. As Naruto reached a parlor as he saw photographs, as he saw his niece in a picture with her former teammates, Shimura Kuma and Rantomo, who was also known as Epic Miss. All of them were holding up their tuning jackets and grinning proudly. The three of them were 15 at the time. They had become friends in the academy and stayed friends, as Naruto and Sawaki had organized a party to congratulate the members of Team 19 when they had graduated, and they held it at their favorite restaurant. As for Shimura Kuma, she was from a branch of the Ink clan that was called the Kuma, that was known as the Bear family. The small family upheld the clan Funjutsu roots, but their method of training was different from the rest of the clan. The Kuma clan, they practiced boxing. As Naruto looked at a photo of the girl in it, as she was on the tip of her toes, with her boxing gloves on, she had participated in a boxing match, as Kushina was there as well, cheering on her friend. As many pictures were taken, the girl was quite a prodigy when it came towards boxing. She had right through the ranks and moved through them quickly, but she didn't want to go pro and continue on with her boxing career because she wanted to be a part of the BLAK. After all, many members of the Kuma clan was a part of the BLAK. Like Panta, you had Polar Bear, and you had Black Bear. They were all from that part of clan, known as the Bear family. And it was Shimura's dream to be in BLAK. One thing about the Bear family, they love to eat. Yes, especially meat and fish as well. As Naruto remember when Kushina first told him that she and Shima were gonna find a place, Naruto had put his foot down, as he didn't want her to leave. But after Sawaki denied certain things from him, to let them to, live their own life and experience the place by themselves, he relented, though something was off. As Naruto remember, it was a few hours before the spring festival when Kushina finally came clean. Flashback. 7 years ago, Kushina stood in front of her uncle and aunt. As she bowed her head, Shima was behind the girl as well, as she was in the same position. The two of them were out of uniform. They were in casual civilian garb. Shimura was in a pink kimono with a small black bear symbol on her chest, long sleeves that passed tip of her fingers, a pair of knee socks and light blue sandals on her feet. She had a dark black and red obi sash on her stomach as a show off her slender figure. Kushina was in black pants and a white shirt with a red Converse. They were before the front door. The two had refused to enter until they heard them out. Sawaki kept her face neutral as Naruto's eyes were narrowed. His niece forced her eyes to stay down, and Shimura, she could not look up at the two legendary shinobis. As Naruto frowned, Kushina, "What is the meaning of this?" he asked. Uncle Naruto and Sawaki, Shimura and I, as Kushina swallowed thickly, "We're going out." As she closed her eyes, as Naruto placed a hand to his heart. "Calm it, Kushina. Don't scare us like that again," said Sawaki. As Naruto released a sigh, she looked up. You're not mad?" Naruto laughed, jolting his 15-year-old niece and her girlfriend. "Come on now, Kushina. Why would we be mad?" "Kushina, honey, we thought you were doing drugs," said Sawaki. "What?" The Kuma girl was just as surprised. As Naruto came forward and swept Kushina in his arm, he extended his arm, bringing in the Kuma girl as well. "You don't need your approval to date anyone, Nana," said Naruto. "Well, we wanted your approval." As Naruto laughed, Kushina had a small flush in her cheeks as she parted from his chest. "And I wanted your help with the kimono." As she would want to look good to her girlfriend. As Sawaki smiled at that. "We haven't used your bedroom for anything, so it's mostly untouched. You can go there." "Thanks." She then turned to her girlfriend. "Why don't you stay downstairs and talk with Uncle?" Shimura smiled. "Sure. Hurry up and get dressed," she said. As Kushina made her way upstairs with Sawaki as well. As Shimura then turned, as she saw Naruto sitting down. "Take a seat, Shimura." "Thank you, sir," she said. As she took a seat, "And you can call me Shibear, like usual." As Naruto held on to his smile, he cocked his head to the side. "Shimura." As she nodded. "Yes, sir." "How long have you been dating Kushina?" he asked. "A few weeks now." "How long is a few weeks?" 5 weeks, sir," she said. "Ah, is that so?" As he waved his left hand, His ninjato came out of nowhere, the black handle resting in his hand. The shining silver blade gleamed in the night. Deep black smoke came from the edge. Black smoke from the tip as well, as Naruto drew his finger over the sharp blade. Is that so? He said. Shimura, who was called Shibier by the man across from her, gulp. We want to tell you and Lady Sawaki for a while now, but Kushina was scared that you won't approve. So, as Naruto had a stone in his other hand, she watched as he dragged the blade across from it, with a clang. So yeah, that's about it, she said. Sir? Oh, these? Naruto said as he looked towards his ninjato and blade. My blade was just dull. Oh, of course, said Shimura, as the blade dragged on the stone. What are your plans with my little girl? Said Naruto. Well, I found a great spot on the hill where we can have a picnic and watch the firework. Ran, Epic Miss, will join us for... Tell me, Shimura, said Naruto. Spark flew off the blade after a sharp drag. How did your parents react? They're not going to stand in my way. Baba said that he doesn't like it much, but he's happy that I'm happy. Mama, she's very happy for us, the girl said, remembering her mother and how well she took it. As Naruto placed a stone and the ninjato on the table, I'm going to be straight with you, Shimura. I always suspect that you were into girls. And I suspect my little girl was as well. But I don't mind. What is bothering me though is that you were afraid to tell us. Shimura felt guilt as she saw the sadness in his blue eyes. Sir, But enough of all this sappy nonsense, said Naruto, as his grin returned. Have you been able to get into BLAK recruitment, he asked. She shook her head sadly. Administration is very strict. I've tried my best. Naruto raised his eyebrow. It can't be that hard for someone like you. I am not what they need right now. The Captain Octopus, said I should work on my sealing and Kenjutsu. Naruto tapped his chin deep in thought. I can put in a good word for you, he said. She shook her head. I appreciate your help, sir, for everything you've done, but I want to get in on my own strength. If you say so, said Naruto. The girl then smiled widely. Are you ready to tell me about white noise? Naruto raised an eyebrow. That's my personal hiding technique. I'm not telling you anything, he said. She clasped her hands together and pleaded. Can I at least see it? One more time. Please, she said. We're indoors, said Naruto. After all, calling down a white bolt of lightning would destroy the house. We can go outside, she said. The festival, said Naruto. Darn it, she cursed. What about tomorrow, she asked. Meeting with the council for the entire day. Something about a biannual development for the national country, something like that. It's super important though. It's gonna take up most of the day. I can set an appointment with your office assistant. Appointments like that are only for important issues, Shimura. The girl pouted. I commend you for being stubborn, kid, but white noise is my secret technique. To use white noise, Naruto destroyed his body in chakra, as he sent him a bolt of lightning in the air that was mixed with nature chakra in the air and created a thick, black stormy cloud that would return the white bolt of lightning. This time, it was saturated with nature chakra. The bolt would hit the nape of his neck and shroud through his nervous system, shrouding his body in the lightning, as it literally covered his soul with the addition of nature chakra. If he was to stand in one place, it wouldn't really show any difference. He would just had white eyes that were crackling, and his body would be shimmering a bit. But if he was to move a single step, his soul would move at the speed of sound, almost dangerously close to the speed of light. His body would move at a mid to Jonin, to high Jonin level, and follow his soul. His body would be still fast enough to leap after images, but his soul was just too fast for that. And he didn't have to split his attention between controlling his body and his soul at the same time. His soul would be turned into a fire zombie. And it was quite taxing even for someone of his reserves. While in his soul form, the only way that Naruto could be touched was if his opponent was able to see him. Else, he was invisible to the eye and untraceable by sensory ability. And the thing was, his most deadliest technique, Silent Night, was a lot more powerful than white noise. Shimura only saw it once after weeks of begging and pleading. It shouldn't be natural for any type of human to have that power. It was just unreal. It made her wonder what kind of training regime he went through to get where he is now. The ghost in glasses was truly one to fear throughout the entire elemental nation. As she diverted the conversation to another point. So, sir, how are you and Lady Sawaki gonna celebrate the festival? We will watch the fireworks on the roof. We've already got a blanket and a food basket ready. She smiled, so romantic. Naruto smirked teasingly. You're one to talk. An embarrassed flush came to her face. Well, mine is different. Well, no it's not, said Naruto. It is. Kushina and I are not married. As Naruto smiled. Speaking of marriage. Oh, when is it gonna happen, said Naruto? But, sir, we're only 15. And the legal marriage age in this country is 17. You just made my point for me, sir, she said. It's never too late to plan for the future, said Naruto as he plopped back in his chair. I'm just saying, when are you gonna make an honest woman out of my little girl? When are you gonna put a ring on her finger? Or she puts a ring on your finger, said Naruto. I'm not sure how this worked, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure someone put a ring on someone's finger. Yeah, sounds about right, he said. But sir, we have only been together for 5 weeks. 5 weeks is basically for life, little bear, said Naruto. I'm pretty sure it's not, she said. Shimura stood up as Kushina entered the room, dressed in the kimono that her late grandmother had wielded for her. End of flashback. As Naruto gratefully collected the tea and sip through the mask, Kushina not fully understanding since he had no lip to sip with, but he did. You know, I still don't know, said Naruto. You were living with your ex and all. The redhead simply shrugged. I'm really just glad that me and Shibir was able to stay friends. As she stood at Naruto's side, he looked over the pictures on the wall. She's my best friend, uncle. I'm not sure what I would do without her. As Naruto smiled at her, there is no one I wouldn't trust look after you than Shimura and Ran. I don't need looking after, she said. I'm a big girl, remember? The reason that she gave him for breaking up with Shimura after 8 amazing months was that her conscience couldn't keep her from leading her on. Yeah, she couldn't keep leading on her friend. She still harbored this crush for him, her idol, and it refused to leave her even until this day. It wasn't that she wasn't interested in other women. She had flirted with them. Yes. She wasn't interested in the man in that way. Just one though. Him. It was just so confusing to her. Kushina was a great wing woman for Shimura, her ex-girlfriend, and Ran, her male best friend. It was a good thing too because neither of them were good at flirting. As Naruto wanted to know how the hell his niece was so good at flirting, but at the same time he really didn't want to know. Well, said Naruto as he finished the tea, I think we should head back in town for round 2. Right, she said. I think we should try another restaurant. The chef in the other one looked pissed as she took the cup and made her way to the kitchen. As Kushina had a huge appetite. She was the Kyuubi holder and a unique strain of chocolate from her clan. A combination of that burned any sliver of food that entered her stomach rather quickly. And Naruto was a strange person when it comes to food. The Kamiri clan wasn't that much on eating. They eat, but not like the Panther clan or anything like that. But Naruto had a large appetite, as both uncle and niece had large metabolism. Oh, I know, said Naruto. Kushina came back in as she grabbed his arm. I know this amazing place that serves ramen over the shopping district area. As Naruto slipped on his sandals, the both of them making their way with a smile. A few days later, at the hidden San, Naruto was on an official visit to the San. He had just finished an important meeting with the Kazekage and was now leaving the tower. Waiting outside was a crowd mix of people from the San and dark citizens. This crowd was larger than the one that saw him enter the tower, as he had on his ceremonial cloak and his white hat as he waved to the crowd as the Sand Ninjas created a path for him to cross. Some of them wanted to leap over the ninjas to at least touch a blonde that had turned her own living in the sand for the better, as Raja shook his head as the people were cheering. As Naruto laughed and slapped the man in the back as he pointed at a section where females were calling out to Raza as they wanted to go on a date with him. The man simply rolled his eyes as the dark civilians were waving Kurono towards Naruto as he made by the hand signs as the cheers erupted as the two men walked through the path. Raza was more popular than his father to the way how he was increasing as disease cures were being found. The sand was growing, everything was getting larger. Dark country had become a part of the wealth nations, those places that were extremely rich, and Dark country was fourth, despite it being, well, not even on the list, nowhere near it a couple years ago. As darkness was growing, they were moving on to be a superpower nation. As both Naruto and Raza spoke about the sand form. We love you, Lord Naruto. Sir, my lord, look over here. They kept on coming. people trying to get his attention. As Naruto smiled, the Dark Sand is doing a commendable job safeguarding your form, Reza. What's your secret? Like you don't know, said Reza. Oh, you know, I only provide some of the ninjas. Ordering them around is another issue of itself, said Naruto. They work for the form, protecting it is their only order, said Reza. Besides, defying an order from either of us is punishable by suicide. You know, you should try smile some more. It will make this as emotion towards Reza's face be more appealing for the ladies. The man had a retort to release, but he changed his mind. Did you get my last correspondence, he asked, about the explosion on one of my oil fields and the coal mine caving in? Naruto nodded, normally. Both of those things have nothing to do with me. Reza nodded as he appreciated how frank Naruto's been with him. After all, the man held nothing back. But I've got money and man in those two things, said Naruto. Dark Sand is looking into the explosion of their shinobi, correct? Naruto asked. Yes, I had to make a contract with Lady Sawaki. The commander of BLAK, the sand director of the Dark Sand, was a puppeteer named Chiyo. The explosion in the oil field was found to be caused by a cigarette. It's not the brand that your country produced, which is mainly purchased by the Sand and Uso. And even if it was, my workers are smart enough to not smoke at work. What brand, Naruto asked? It is somewhat hard to discern, but we scraped together. It's an imitation of black tobacco. Imitation, you say? Asked Naruto. Any adults that smoke in the sand will be able to differentiate between black tobacco and imitation. We were able to analyze the tobacco from the cigarette and compare it to the one of the grass, and they match. The cigarette from grass is supplied all over the continent. I see, said Naruto. The fire also burned away any DNA. What about fingerprint? My ninjas and Dark Sand are still dusting it off for anything, said Reza. Most likely someone infiltrated your border and planted a cigarette to create doubts in your ninja's ability to defend the oil workers. The Sand had many resources, but they didn't have a way to mine them or how to properly produce them. But given the fact that darkness was no helping them, they were not going to waste a single bit. Things were cheaper that was sold to darkness, but for the other nations, they were given a regular price. As there was a difference between the Dark and Sand Alliance and the Sand and Leaf Alliance that was still a thing for some reason. The Sand got along a lot better with darkness. From the billion Ryu loan that was loaned to them, and ninjas from darkness helping to build the Sand form. The main reason why they were still allied with Konoha was to mainly keep the leaf off their back. The explosion had destroyed the oil field, which slowed down production, but Reza had many more oil field, as those could be fall down, while the other that went up in flames could be repurposed. Don't worry, old friend, said Naruto. We'll get to the bottom of this and feed the perpetrator his own heart. I'll stuff him with my gold sand, said Reza. Naruto laughed at the grisly image. Let's talk about that later. What about the coal mine? Was it because of the explosion in the oil field? No, they're too far apart for the shockwave to reach. Then, said Naruto, the cave it fell in from an explosion to the roof, said Reza. Someone dropped a bomb from high up. How many people were killed in the cave in, Naruto asked. Well, we found 23 bodies and 7 injured. There is a strict protocol set up just in case the cave mine fell. It was always checked on a daily basis. The bomb came at an unknown time from an unknown person. The coal miners had no time to flee. As Naruto blue eyes dim, it didn't matter if only 5 of his people were killed in the explosion. The Sand were good people. They didn't deserve to die like that either. Their oxygen mask did not snap, but most of the rocks fell on their heads. Thankfully, they did not suffer, said Reza. Lady Sawaki had a hunch and asked my permission to have a few of your Gato ninjas look at the blast zone. Did they find anything, Naruto asked. Clay, said Reza. Explosive clay to be exact. Naruto's fingers started to twitch as Reza knew that he was keeping a tight hold on his emotions. The hidden stone explosive core. The Gato ninjas tracked the clay all the way to a glacier in the hidden swamp. That Tishikage, he might be pulling a waterfall on you. A waterfall? Said Reza. Remember when I hive waterfall everything, said Naruto. Reza nodded. Well, before that, the leader of Waterfall informed Kakazu that he will be a missing ninja if he failed, and that he was acting on his own. So the person or people that blew up the coal mine is gonna seem to be acting on their own, said Reza. Personally, I didn't care for proof back then. I have Waterfall to make a statement. That statement had worked. No one was willing to mess with darkness. And there was no war back then, said Naruto. I understand what you're saying, Naruto, said Reza. as Naruto was all in favor of retaliating. That is what he did after all those years ago when the Hidden Stone had came in on his borders. This time, if they stand, retaliate, they will be basically introducing themselves into the war, and more countries will try to take siege on their Sand Oasis. This leaves 3 options, said the Kazakage. Yep, said Naruto. Sabotage an important Hidden Stone mission that would result in equal damage of what happened to my village, said Reza. Second, attack the Hidden Stone and make it look like it was from my other village, or even better, defective Hidden Stone shinobis. Reza then highlighted the last option, or both, he said. The second one alone seemed very tempting. Well, it's up to you, said Naruto. The first option will take too long. Intercepting war mission orders from the Tishikage, glossing over how much damage it will cause their forces, and also making sure that we're not discovered by any stone shinobis. He shook his head as San has better things to do than to commit to that long-term scheme. Naruto rubbed his hands together. Second it is then, he said. Yes, said Reza. Since his attack happened on your own soil, I will leave the main retaliation to you. But for the sake of my people that were killed in the mine, leave the cover-up operation to my ninja. That can be arranged. The 2 men then made their way towards the Kazekage mansion. As Naruto wondered about his first student, Suaki enjoyed working for him, it seems. The harder she worked that day or week, including the mission, the number of people's lives that she ended, the harder the sex. Naruto wasn't complaining. It was a good thing that Kushina had moved out. It gave them freedom to dirty up the house as much as they wanted. Thankfully though, they cleaned up after themselves when their appetites had been calm for that moment. The man did not pile up work and duty for her. Being the commander of the BLAK and the director of the Dark Sand was enough work for a normal being. But in all words, Suaki was different. Yes. As his first student, Suaki, his wife, was a true vampire. Except for the sunlight myth that vampires burn in the sun, and the holy water and the holy symbols. She broke out in hive if she ate any garlic. It was a normal, allergic reaction. She could lessen the reaction with her blood manipulation ability. And Suaki was immortal. Plain and simple. Suaki family, the part of the Chunika clan. As they had many blood users, but they were slaughtered, leaving only Suaki and her family. A concentrated, high dose of garlic was placed inside their water reserves, and Konoha Ninja came in and slaughtered them. Else, they were not meant to die in the first place. The second head of the family was still alive after hundreds of years later. Though, what they enjoy in their longevity of their long cycle of life, they suffer in low birth rate. It wasn't anything wrong with their bodies. Their vampire abilities did not prevent them from not having children. But the birth rate for them was really low. Naruto and Suaki has been trying for years now to have a child. Naruto was patient, but Suaki was always fretting, thinking that she couldn't bear a child for him so she would lose him. Ever since her mother had told her about their family, special heritage, their family doctor, Yumura, said that neither of them had any problems with their reproductive system, as Naruto had no problem getting it up and finish the job. Suaki could account on that. There wasn't a problem, except there was. As Naruto had to assure her even if he didn't have children, he would never leave her. There wasn't any pressure, and even if he couldn't have kids in with her, as he wouldn't be sad. But having children with her hero was a dream that she held to this very day. She appreciated her husband's loyalty, but secretly she has been talking to the doctors about alternative ways of having children. Naruto knew of her sneaking to the house or moving from the BLAK office towards the hospital. Infidelity never crossed his mind. She has also been taking trips to her family eastern compound. As she went through scrolls, archives, anything that might aid her, she wanted a child dearly. Unknown to Naruto though, Yuma had laid out the options for her, and Suaki had chose one. She could only hope that she could convince her husband. As Naruto and Rasa arrived at the tower, Naruto smiled. Suaki came up to him and hugged him. "Hey Su, what's up?" he said. "Sensei," she said, looking up at him. "We need to talk." But guys, be in subs right here. If you want to see next part, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune for the rest of the what ifs coming your way. I'm gonna be posting a brand new episode of What If Naruto Became the God of Lightning over on Anime King. So stay in tune for that, and I really hope that you guys enjoy. And stay in tune for a brand new episode over on Anime King 3. Yes, you heard that correctly. You're not mistaken if you're new here. I have 3 channels: Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3. I post on these channels every single day. Each day a new what if for you guys to enjoy. So remember, if you're new, just click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys over Anime King. Peace.